And finally, at number 1, I have Inori. So this definitely a surprise for me. Now, I had heard some good things about this one, so I did want to check it out. But after reading the rulebook, I was thinking, oh, have I made a mistake here? This sounds extremely generic. It's a worker placement game, and generally speaking, these lighter worker placement games, I bounce pretty hard off of them because I've seen it all before. They're all rinse and repeat. But I thought, let's give it a go. And the box only said 30 minutes, so at least it's going to be quick, if forgettable. But I was wrong. This, the more I was playing this game, the more of the cleverness started to come to the forefront, and I was enjoying it more and more. So again, this is a worker placement game where you are collecting resources of these different kind of element types, but it's not a standard contract fulfillment style game where you're collecting this and that and then cashing them in against a card to get some points. It kind of does away with that style of gameplay, which definitely I think did this game a huge favour. This one, you are placing your workers to not only collect the resources, but when you go to a worker placement spot, that is going to somewhat populate one of these cards. And if a card has all of the worker placement spots filled with workers, whether that be yourself or other players, as long as you are on that card, you will score points based on certain resources that you've collected. So as the game goes on, the kind of disparity on how the resources are spread will start to differentiate. So what it means is that if you know that your opponent is trying to populate, say, a fire card, but they've got 2 more spots to fill, but they've got a ton of fire cards, you think, I'm going to avoid that card at all costs. And then hopefully it won't score at all, and they've wasted their efforts and aren't going to score a point for every, say, fire token that they have. Or at least if they want to score it, they're going to have to go all in and populate it themselves. But there are some other worker placement spots involved where you can take kind of dummy workers and fill them up or do different things like that. So that's pretty much how the base of the game works. You're collecting resources, trying to complete cards that match the resources that you've collected. But there are some little twists on the side. So those are the card worker placement spots, but there are also inbuilt worker placement spots, which will do things which I mentioned, such as those dummy workers. They can give you straight up points, they can let you convert resources into other resources, and so on. And what I really like about this part of the game is that when you use one of those inbuilt worker placement spots, you will assign a certain colour to it, meaning that whenever you go there in the future, you will either get one of those resources of that colour, or you'll have to spend one for the more powerful actions. And on top of that, the the stronger actions that aren't necessarily tied to getting resources will actually come with an area majority thing going on. So if you have the most of a particular colour, you will score endgame points, and you really need to try and pull yourself in 2 directions of trying to save up your resources to score those endgame points, as well as, of course, trying to do the in-game stuff. Now, the game is only 4 rounds and it goes lightning fast. I think the forward momentum in this game is terrific. Never feels like there's any real downtime, very punchy. It kind of ends before it really begins, but it still feels like extremely satisfying for a 30-minute game. You do get a full worker placement game experience here for 30 minutes. Some unique twists, some good interaction, again, as you're forced to sometimes act spitefully, but at the same time, you're doing things in your own interest. And just a wonderful, harmonious package. I can't really think of many games that offer this level of experience in a 30-minute game. It is pretty much a full-blown Euro, lots of clever things going on, but still so succinct, and it almost fits that filler bracket, which is very impressive. Now, I think if anything, this game could fall a bit short because it is so generic looking. The name isn't exactly inspiring. There's no theme here. It's very abstracted. It looks pretty bland. It's still attractive, but it does look quite bland. So that could hurt it. But again, I think quality normally does rise to the top, and I think this one could be another slow burner. But right now, massively impressed me. It's going to be a contender for surprise of the year, that's for sure. Again, very apprehensive at first, but the more I played it, the more it started to reveal itself to me, and the more I enjoyed it.